Hey everyone, this is Amber Key, and you're listening to a Bright Idea podcast, a show where I sit down with entrepreneurs to discuss the aha moments that launched their businesses. On today's episode, we're joined by Jan Receski, the founder and CEO of OnPar Now, a state-of-the-art indoor golf instruction and practice space located in the newly renovated terminal building in the Strip District of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Jan wasn't always a golfer. The first time she ever picked up clubs was in a golf elective in college. But after a 30-year career with the Hillman Company, a prominent Pittsburgh family office where she worked in data systems, she realized the profound impact golf has on both business and personal relationships. While discovering this, she also noticed golf left many people outside of the circle, those people being women. That led Jan to take matters into her own hands, to create a space where all people can enjoy golf and the benefits the sports have on strengthening relationships. With an idea in the midst of a global pandemic and taking a huge risk, Jan created OnPar Now. In this episode, Jan and I discuss the idea that started it all, the bet she took on herself, and the team of people who stood behind her to ensure this aha moment came to life. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment at the end. Enjoy!
Always played sports. I was one of very few females in the neighborhood. And so whatever the season was, didn't matter, baseball, football, kickball, we were always playing that and just loved that feeling, that camaraderie, just having fun. And then high school, played softball, never really got into golf. My first foray was a gym class, a fitness class at college. And so that's the first time that I played.
That's awesome. So growing up you were one of very few girls growing up on your street. Were you competitive? Were you like a tough girl?
Extremely.
I
The
love that.
typical tomboy, always out there. Just part of the crew, but really loved that feeling, the competitiveness. I think we're all pretty competitive with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of golf. You can play well into your 80s. Literally went with a couple last summer with our master club fitter. They're in their mid 80s. They belong to Longview. They were upset because they're not hitting it as far. I'm like, you're my heroes. Just getting out there and enjoying nature. And I've read that you add 5 years longevity to your life if you're a golfer, and it's not just the physical engagement, it's that purpose. You're not getting up in the morning and sitting in the recliner.
Yeah.
It's the camaraderie, interactions, all those great things. But golf gives you a purpose. It is competitive.
Yeah, golf is also great because similar to tennis in that it's all about concentration. It's really a mental individual sport. And so I feel like, when you're going through life and as you get older, it's so important to still keep your brain intact. And I feel like golf is one of
Exactly.
those sports there where you could do that.
Totally agree. I have always said if you can physically stand up to the ball, I say 85, maybe 90% of the game is mental. And it looks like it's so easy. The ball's just laying there. Like anything else you do, whether it's soccer, baseball, football, whatever it is, the ball's coming at you and you react. With
Yeah.
golf, it's just laying there. It should be so easy. And you have all this time to get in your head. And the littlest tweak makes the biggest difference. So it really takes practice and commitment and learning that muscle memory so that whenever you get out on the course, your body does what it needs to do.
Yeah. You talked a little bit earlier about golf. You can find your purpose through golf, or golf gives you purpose.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You said that the first time you picked up a club was in college and like an elective. And what did you think when you were in college? Like, what did you think your purpose was going to be?
Yeah. So when I graduated high school, even though National Honor Society, MVP of the softball team. I was pretty driven. Um, Back then, uh, my dad said, if you want to go become a nurse, maybe I could help pay for that. Otherwise, you should just get married.
Hmm.
So that was the thinking at the time. I did end up marrying very supportive spouse and family, very supportive of college, got my college degree,
Yeah.
um, but then had guidance that management information systems, computer science, that was the up and coming fields. And so I went into MIS, and it was just um, kind of recommended, and
Yeah.
that would be a very good career, and that's the path I chose. And so I did data and systems for 30 years,
Hmm.
but kind of lived outside the circle when it came to golf, and I saw all those opportunities that especially females were missing,
Mm.
living outside the circle, and I never really understood that. So I might get invited occasionally, but it was usually, "Hey, Jan, Jim can't play. Can you fill in?" And the
Yeah.
next time he could play, so I was never considered. And there's just those business connections are priceless out on the course.
Yeah, to back up a little bit, you said that you worked in information systems because that was the up and coming thing when you were coming out of school. And you spent a long time working for a pretty well known private company in Pittsburgh,
Correct.
Pennsylvania. And like, what was that experience working in corporate like?
It I had amazing opportunities.
Hmm.
It's a highly regarded family wealth office in the Pittsburgh area, philanthropic. I had so many, different areas that I was able to get involved in because it was a little bit smaller company.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was 56, they wanted me to take over the legal administrators. I didn't have a legal background, so they sent me to Duquesne University for corporate law 1 and 2, which was such a great experience. And for the company to still be investing in me,
Yeah.
it shows you, yeah, there, I just think the world of the company. But, I went with someone who was just joined that team, and we both were taking this course, and there was only a midterm and a final, and she said, "I don't think I'm going to study." And I said, "You know what? I haven't taken a test in as many years as you've been alive. I'm going to study."
Yeah.
From the minute I get home until Monday when the test is, and did very well. But for them to, like I said, continue to invest in me and give me, and then what a great experience, because then when I decided to do OnPar Now, I knew the basic company structures. I decided to have an LLC. It was a great education in that I knew which questions to ask, even if I didn't already know the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And that story about you taking the test just shows your competitive nature as well, of like not giving up. So I really love that. So you spent all these years working for this company, had such a great experience in terms of professional development, the networking, the connections. And you'd
Yes.
also mentioned, like many companies in corporate America, there's outings like golf outings. And a lot of times the men get invited, and you might be invited if someone can't show up. And so was that sort of like the genesis of how On Par Now came to be? Like
I
you feeling left out and wanting to be a part of golf?
Yes. Yes, I remember I was invited to an event, a very nice club. You probably have heard Diamond Run.
Mhm.
Beautiful. It was an invitation fundraiser. I had to get ready in the powder room, in the hallway, because men had both men's and ladies' locker rooms. Women just were not included. This was not that long ago. But, when you go from a company like Hillman, highly regarded, great opportunities, very well taken care of. to going out and doing something on your own, there's usually a triggering event.
Yeah.
And so for me, there it was a club fitting, which is just figuring out which equipment works the best for you, right? And so, can I tell the story?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Went into this establishment, locally owned, and the storefront was very cluttered with equipment and paraphernalia. And I was just getting into golf. This was just a few years ago when I really decided I really want to pursue this and needed golf shoes. There were a bunch of golf shoes in boxes stacked on chairs, and asked if they carried lady shoes. Oh, yeah, we have lady shoes. They had one pair of lady shoes, size 10, and I'm
Mhm.
5'1, so I'm not a size 10. And they took me to the back to this big warehouse area, and it was very dark. And it had 5 simulators, which is where you hit a real ball with a real club into the impact screen and get feedback. And again, um, cluttered with equipment, and men were in each one of the simulators. Some groups playing a course, some were just single men practicing. And after about an hour, which the owner was very knowledgeable, expert, very kind. He was taking measurements, taking down this data. After about an hour, we landed on ping.
Mhm.
Thought, I should have felt great. I had the money to buy, but there was this locker room banner going on around me. I was
Mhm.
the only woman in the place in a golf skirt, and I left feeling like a piece of meat. And I went home and I Googled women plus golf. Like, where could I have had a better experience? And the first link that came up was 20 hottest women in golf from
Mhm.
Men's Health magazine. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And even though women was in the search criteria, there were pictures of men and male dominated language. And I thought, something really needs to change. And that's was really the triggering event of leaving corporate America, taking an early retirement, and launching OnPar Now.
So there's so many things in that story. First off, that the women and men that are listening to this episode right now can relate, and because we've all experienced something like that where we've felt left out of a certain group, or especially as a woman, women are athletic, they are competitive, they want to be a part of these sports, and there's just like this crude humor, or there's like this, there aren't facilities for us to be there, and it's a lot. And so a lot of us experience it and we talk about it and it sucks, but none of us are like, I'm going to create on par now. I'm gonna not only make I'm gonna make my own seat at the table. Actually, I'm gonna create my own table. And so I just want
Thank
to
you.
know, like, where did that fight come from?
Where did that come from? Just I I have a bit of business background. I have a bit of that love of sport. I have a lot of stamina. I love helping to it's to inspire others. It's very motivating for me. It's a great feeling to be able to help, like just working out at the Rivers Club or wherever, and having women talk about, my fitness and nutrition and things, that just helping them be their best self.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that. I get great satisfaction out of that. And I thought, you know what? I've got the pieces. I can do this.
Hmm.
And so I did. But 2 weeks before I closed on my loan to start the build out, the world shut down with COVID.
Yeah.
So it's just been 3 years. At the end of February, it was 3 years. And they say if you can last 3 years, then you start getting that name recognition and word starts
Absolutely.
spreading, and I'm starting to see that, but very difficult start. But it's needed. I'm feeling a need
Yeah.
in the community, And I just get such tremendous positive feedback that I know I'm doing the right thing.
Let's face it, starting a business is hard work, and building a website for a business, that's another story. Why not hire some help? 35th Street Builders are not just website builders, they're dreamers. With experience spanning in startups to enterprises, 35th Street Builders will provide you with the mobile app and web development skills to get your business up and running. At 35th Street Builders, they pride themselves on affordability, reliability, and compassion. Ready to take some work off your plate? You can schedule an intro call with 35th Street Builders by going to their website at 3sb.io. That's the number 3, the letter S, the letter B.io. I love that. And so you received your loan 3 weeks before the world ended. You're
Yes,
referring to COVID-19 during the pandemic. So
yes.
where this is 2020. So leading up to this time, how were you getting the support?
Kind of living outside the circle and knowing that it was, really it opens so many doors. Golf is not just golf, just not out there playing, having fun. It truly is true career development. And I
Mhm.
have so many groups coming in now who recognize that. And I've had almost 400, almost all females, maybe a couple dozen men sprinkled in. We do a beginners clinic, and they're all saying just what I said. This is true career development. I'm so tired of being left behind. On Fridays, all the guys go. I was just invited to speak at a panel discussion, um, and there were many of the audience were from the Penguins, Pirates, and Steelers, and all these women were in the same boat, where their male counterparts were being invited. Now's the time of year, once, twice, 3 times a week to golf outings, and they're doing business there. And even if the deal isn't done out on the golf course, have that connection. And
Mhm.
I I firmly believe you can tell so much about someone's character. If you and I go play and you have a bad shot and you're out there cursing and wrapping your club around the tree,
Yep.
or are you managing yourself? Is this someone I want to be in business with? Is this someone I want to have a personal relationship with? And it's a great opportunity. You've got 4 to 6 hours spending with just a few people in kind of an intimate setting because
Mhm.
we are competitive with ourselves. And like I said, even if the deal isn't done out on the course right then, when you get back to the office, maybe it's the CFO and 3 employees, and he's thinking, oh, I've got this project. Who will I give it to? I'm not even on his radar. I
Mhm.
wasn't there. So he immediately thinks of the people that he now has this connection. It's subconscious, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny that you mentioned that because I actually was reading an article about golf and about business deals that happen within golf by Forbes. It was a survey by Forbes that said that 53% of executives reported that they've made business decisions on the golf course. And so you've sort of already answered my question, which was why do you think it's so important for women, especially, to learn to play the sport? Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I find that so fascinating because as women, we are talkers, we're nurturers, we're women. Women love a community, right? And so this is something different than going out to brunch or starting a book club, and I'm sure deals can happen that way. But what you're speaking about is like under, understanding someone's character through the sport of golf because for the people that don't know, golf is it takes a lot of patience. It's a
Mhm.
lot of focus. There's a lot of outside factors too, in terms of the wind, like
Variables.
there's
Yes.
so many variables. And so when you're put under that much pressure, you see who rises to the occasion and then who doesn't. And that is the perfect way to choose who you want to take on this project or who you would want on your team when things go south. So,
Exactly right.
yeah.
And there are so many industries that are seriously doing business. That is the way. So sales, real estate, there are so many industries that truly is the main way of, you're inviting clients, you're inviting associates, vendors, and women are just missing out.
Yeah.
And there's so many. So what sports did you play growing up besides the first tee?
I
You
played
said
soccer,
football.
but I ran track from the
That's
age
right.
of like 10 to college.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
great. But
Yeah.
guess what? Can you go to your boss and say, hey, you want to go run a 400-meter? You
No.
you can't say all these especially females who have come through college and they're basketball players. I don't care what the sport is, soccer. You can't say that's inappropriate and you just don't. It doesn't exist. You can't say to you, hey, boss, do you want to go play soccer? Let's go golf. Absolutely is the appropriate. So that's like the next right step
Yeah.
once you especially graduate college to get your foot in the door. If you're a female and you can step up and say, yes, I'd love to participate, you don't have to be great. You need to understand the pace of play is important, keep moving, and have the basics, right?
Hmm.
And so we do this beginners clinic, and then I offer these low cost memberships to stay in the game because it does take practice.
Hmm.
But at the end of the 4-week clinic, I invite everyone to go play a little 9-hole scramble, and it's in a safe environment. I'm there, I have a few helpers. And a scramble is just everyone hits the ball and then everyone picks up their ball and takes it to the best drive, because when you're starting out, your drive may be 50 yards,
Yeah.
maybe whiffing, right? And so it keeps the game moving. Everyone gets to take their shot. And often I get to the end of it and I have had women get emotional and say they never would have had that opportunity if it hadn't have been for OnPar Now. And that that is such a huge compliment.
Yeah. I do want to talk about that a little bit of like what is sort of the feedback from some of these women? Do you have any specific success stories of women that you've coached through On Par Now?
So I think just getting out onto the course. So we have now, after that, then this summer, I just started this 8-week summer scramble league, still with some support. But absolutely, I had a girl call today. She came through the clinic. She's been invited to an outing. I've had several like that who now, with their business, if you are in banking, there are different industries, they're being invited and now they're saying yes. And
Mhm.
so the one today wanted a lesson. She's like, I need a tune up. And
Yeah.
it the it is difficult. We all have such limited time, right? And a lot of time it's the females who are working, taking care of a lot of the kids, the situations at home, things like that. I'm sure men are involved as well, but I see time and time again, men understand the importance of golf, where women are just now starting to understand. So
Mm.
they don't, we need this paradigm shift of how they think about it. I'm sure they would invest the time and money into CPE credits,
Mhm.
continuing education, any of it. This I always say, second to education, this is the most important tool in your toolkit. So if you've got your degree or you're in your job, your career, this is where the time and money should be spent.
Ready to take control of your financial future? Discover financial freedom with Chosen Advisory Group. Chosen Advisory Group caters to the ambitious, the established mid-career professionals, and those on the cusp of retirement who recognize the dedication required to attaining financial independence. With their experience and clear professional guidance, you can transform your financial goals into reality. Life is stressful. Money should not be. Begin your journey to financial clarity. Schedule your complimentary consultation at www.chosenadvisorygroup.com.
I want to dive into how you built on Par Now from the ground up. And I can't miss mentioning that you used up your 401k for to build on Par Now. And I just want
That
to
was our little secret.
yeah, I just want to take a beat on that for a second because I want to kind of go back to when I was asking you about your background and your childhood and what kind of kid you were. Like, were you ever a risk taker in that way? I think, sometimes our biggest security sometimes for some people is their 401k. They're like, oh my God, this is like how I'm going to retire. This is how I'm going to live until I die. How did you make that decision or take that risk?
I think that shows how positive I am that it will be successful. The
Yeah.
feedback that I got when I first had the idea, I approached a few different really close friends and associates, and they were crying. They're like, this absolutely has to happen. No regrets. I never have had second thoughts that I shouldn't have. So when I was going through it, I knew it was the right thing. And so I got to the end of the project, the build out, and I needed $230,000 more. And I had a short list of names that I was going to approach for private equity money. And that's when I decided cash in my 401k. I'm all in. It's extremely motivating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Did you get any money from the private equity, the
No,
short list that you made?
no.
Okay. And so you were
Um,
like, This is what I still want to get this done. So this is what I'm going to do."
yep. And again, didn't look back, but I have shared that with a few people and now a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And usually the reaction is they can't believe it. I was not a risk taker. There are a lot of people who I have met, young college students, they are entrepreneurs at heart. I
Mm.
was happy in corporate America, very well taken care of, very comfortable. I mean, there were a lot of demands. It was a
Mm.
great, it was a challenging job, but I just, yeah, I never had that drive, that desire to do my own thing until I came up with this idea. And then when this has to happen.
Walk me through how you chose the location because the people that are listening may or may not be familiar with Pittsburgh. And so OnPar Now is located in the Strip District, which I grew up going to the Strip District and it was just being built up. And it was where a lot of tourists went to buy their like Steelers gear or like to go to the Woolies fish market and buy their
Right.
fish for the week. It wasn't like you would never think that like a simulation or like a golf lesson place would be there. So how did you decide to put it there?
Right. I really thought that if I put it, we're the city of bridges, right? Rivers,
Yeah,
bridges everywhere. And I thought if I put it in the South Hills, those are the only people who will come.
sure.
West, east, same story through the tunnels. And I thought it has to be centrally located. And they were just starting to refurbish the terminal. So the terminal was a 5 block long building,
Mm,
1926, amazing. And it took the city 6 years to decide, are they going to demolish it or are they going to refurbish it? Thank goodness they saved it.
yeah,
But I was looking at a place just a few blocks. So I live a few blocks from the terminal building. And then there was a place just a few blocks from me on the other side, and big, bright, open windows. I wanted the exact opposite of what I experienced that day when I did the club fitting. I wanted bright and open and welcoming. And this building was just being finished, big windows. I thought this is perfect. So
yeah.
there was a sign out front that CBRE had listed it, and I knew someone. I took this Dale Carnegie course 100 years ago, and I thought, I know someone who works there. I called, and here now he's senior vice president, heard my idea. He's like, this is phenomenal. This is brilliant. Like the location would be great to have it down in the Strip. It was really up and coming. We have so many huge apartment complexes, townhomes. And he showed me that space and then he said, but I want you to see the terminal. Well, from the outside, it looked low and dark, and you walk in and there's 22-foot ceilings, and it was
Wow.
perfect.
Wow.
So that's how I chose. But then because they were refurbishing it, the outside had all these mounds of dirt, these metal fences, chain link fence, and then COVID, and it was a nightmare in the beginning.
Yeah. It's funny because as when I think about myself and I think about like I'm a big picture person, but I can't see the little details. So when I'm thinking about the terminal and there's like chain link fences and and it's dark on the inside, it's like, how did you see it? Did you have in your mind of like, this is what it's going to be?
So thank goodness for my sister. Uh, Worked in the autistic classroom near downtown Pittsburgh for almost 15 years. And when I got very serious, I took her to dinner and she's like, are you crazy? I'm left-handed. I'm not athletic. I've never golfed, nor do I want to. I know nothing about business. And I'm like, and you're my sister. You'll have my back. She is so great with the customers. She does inventory, payroll. She's amazing. She's such a hard worker. Um, and so she and I drew up. I knew that I wanted 4 TrackMan simulators. I knew I wanted, so I've got an $86,000 putting green. It's got 55 jacks under the surface and then an indoor sand trap. I wanted both of those at the storefront so that would catch people's attention.
Yeah.
But other than that, like Susan and I just had different drawings, and then Rycon Construction did my build out, and they were fantastic. I had never done anything like this. And I just, thank goodness for the internet.
Yeah.
I'd never done a lease or a loan or in anything, and just kept, doing research and asking questions. And they were such a huge help.
So when you were coming up with your concept and working on the blueprints and what you wanted everything to look like, what were some of your must-haves for the business?
So I knew I wanted the putt view. I had actually stumbled upon that as I was researching different simulators. I came across that and thought, that's amazing. The short game is where you shave strokes, and everyone is so pumped when they walk in and realize what it can do.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted, so my uncle Danny, this is so 83, he shot a 76 last Father's Day. He's this amazing golfer.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
like, Jenny, nobody has an indoor sand trap. You need to figure that out. So got Rycon, they got Southwest Greens to pour the cement and build this whole sand trap area. So anything you need to play or practice. And then I knew I wanted TrackMan, best in the industry. I knew I wanted 4 of those, and a juice bar, a place for people to gather. We are BYOB. People can bring drinks. Susan's put together a list of caterers. So we do private events, but I wanted a little lounge area, and we have a big screen TV there, watch golf. Women do not take the time, and you can learn so much from watching golf.
Yeah.
And I just, I wanted that community feeling. And again, the bright, open, and sometimes the sun is an issue. So I've had to get blinds, and it's always a male who says, just paint the windows black. Just, I'm like, that's exactly what I don't want. I
Yeah.
can manage the sun. So that was an extra expense, but it's important to me to have it bright and welcoming. I've also had, and it's typically men, they want their football picks meeting. They want, I'm very cautious to prevent it from becoming a sports bar, because then I alienate the women.
Yeah.
So if it's the Masters, it'll be on TV, but I'm not playing, the latest college basketball playoffs, Sweet 16,
Yeah.
football, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're building is exactly what you wanted to build, which was a place for inclusion and
Yes.
community. I love
Yes.
that. Now, we know that you're not doing all of this alone. You have your sister who you've mentioned. How did you build your team and the people backing you? I mean, you've been in business now for 3 years, but a lot of people, it would take them 3 years to even break ground on a building, and you've been able to surpass that. So tell
Thank
me a little
you.
bit about your team and the people that you surround yourself with to ensure that OnPar Now exceeds and succeeds and all of the things.
Yeah, so I mean, Susan is key. I have a part-time person who she's a golfer. Kids are getting a little bit older, wants to get back into the workforce. She's wonderful. She's helping with this outdoor league play and being able to just she's has great ideas. I also have a student from Pitt. She's giving us some part-time help. But basically it's Susan and I. I've had um, I would say a mentor. When I first had the idea, I went to him, and our companies worked very closely together. And I said, I've got this business idea, but I don't have the money to afford you. You're the Cadillac. Could you recommend an associate that I could afford to help me with like financial projections and things? And he heard my idea and he's like, I'm all in. He and
Mm.
his wife belong to a local country club and routinely kicked off because it was men's only. And he said, this line of thinking has got to change. He's he's just not only so intelligent and really was very helpful with the projections and things like that, but just so supportive of females and empowering and making, leveling the playing field.
Yeah. I want to talk to you too just about that, in that, now we're living in a time, unfortunately, where some of our rights as women seem to be like they're going backwards. And so, as women that are listening to this who have these big, bright ideas that are going to sort of shake up the world a little bit, or might be you have a lot of support in that people are like, yeah, let's do it. And like there's some women out there that whose ideas are not going to be taken as well received as yours has. What is some advice to the women out there that want to do something that kind of rocks the boat a little bit, and just to give them a little bit of courage to keep going?
Yeah, it sounds like a cliche, but when they say one day at a time, it's it's not easy. I cannot believe how difficult it's been at times. The the time and energy that it takes. I mean, we're open every day of the week, 11 hours, 3 days of the week. We're open 12 hours. When I'm not there, I'm typically here at the apartment working on paperwork, business development, marketing. There are so many hats that you have to wear, and there's always fire drills and things that come up. So you have your day planned, and then the next day, you wake up and you say, I have all of that, plus now I have this. Um, for me, working out gets my head on straight. You need to be physically fit. I mean, for me, that's what has helped. And again, if I hadn't had 2 years of COVID, and everyone lived it, it's not just about me, but very difficult start. I know I would be so much further down the road, but you truly need to just believe in yourself. Like I I truly believe everything is energy. And every morning I wake up and I state what I'm grateful for. And it is my religion. Um, speaking to you, we don't need to get religious, but if you give positive energy out, and you just visualize and expect good things, that's what you'll get back. If you're a negative person, that's what you'll get back. It's
Mhm.
just like I said, everything in the universe is energy.
Yeah.
And years ago, I used to think things just happened to you and you had to deal with it. And now I truly believe we manifest our own reality. And so you know, just go for it, believe in yourself, and each day, just don't give up. Just keep chipping away at it. And I love that on a daily basis, people walk in and they ask if it's a franchise.
Mm.
They think, what a huge compliment. They love, and it's just golf. It's just simulators, but there's this feeling when they walk in that is totally different and welcoming, and they love it.
I really love that, and I want to tell you that you are inspiring so many people that are listening to this podcast, men and women. And we didn't talk about this in the episode, but you are a mother of two sons, and so I'm curious. What do they think of you after doing all of this?
I know they're proud. My one son lives with me, Charlie, and his twin. Charlie works at Pitt, Ohio, a trucking company local to here, and Pat is a chef down in Boca Raton, Florida. He and his wife Katie have been there 10 years. Char and I have been here for 10 years, and I know just the conversations. And Charlie has been so supportive, and I'm so happy that he, you know, my sister will say, Jen, you haven't been off in how many ever weeks? And I'll come home and say, hey, Chuck, I'm off tomorrow, make a grocery list. And he's like, why would I make a list? We have nothing. Can we just go and load up the carts? Um, he's just so supportive and flexible. And Pat and Katie, they came for the grand opening and just managed the entire, and we had to have small groups because of COVID. Everybody was in masks and they just did an amazing job. And yeah, I'm blessed, truly.
Yeah. Looking ahead, what are some goals or aspirations for OnPar Now, and where do you envision the business in the future?
Definitely growth. If something doesn't grow, it dies, right? And so I'm not sure if that's a second location, if that's franchising. I have had so many people give me their name and number and say if and when. And I've done some research and some are legit. I've had people, Anaheim, California, Chicago,
Oh my
Virginia,
gosh.
different areas of Pittsburgh, all say, please, like, we need this. Again, huge compliment.
That's incredible. This has been such a great conversation, and I can't wait to come back to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh and visit with my father because he just speaks so
agreed.
highly about it.
I can't
And
wait for you to see it.
yeah, this has been so great. So, how can people find you if they want to partake in a class or they're just curious about OnPar Now?
Fantastic. We're on all those social media platforms. You can hop on our website, OnPar Now. And it's actually two words, ONPAR, and then now, like the time is now. Yeah, and we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, but you can always hop on the website. You can give us a call. Can I give them the number?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 412-849-1617. You're welcome. Like, we take walk-ins. We welcome everyone to come in, check it out, do an hour, but I also have the memberships. Like I said, we have like 1,000 living spots out our back behind the terminal, and many of them now are joining because it's, depending on how many sessions, at least 40% off. And if you more sessions you do, the less it is. I just need that recurring revenue because there are a lot of people, I'll be playing golf in the summer, but what I'm seeing and hearing now, and I'm grateful for, they go play and then they're like, oh, I stink. I need a lesson. I need to
Yeah.
practice. I should have been doing this all winter. So that's been very good. And 3 certified pros, highly regarded. I've got a master club fitter. So excellent resources. And Amber, I have equipment. You're not going to go buy clubs to see if you like golf. So there's no charge for that. And I validate 2-hour parking. A lot of people are a little concerned that the strip is getting so busy, there's no place to park. I
Yeah.
validate 2 hours behind us, easy access.
Before I let you go, I want to play a rapid fire game with you.
Oh, geez. All right.
It'll be fun. When was the moment that you knew that you could finally breathe and that the business was going to be okay?
I knew from the beginning that it would be. I'm still taking deep breaths, but I know it would be. You have to have faith.
If you could say one thing to your younger self, what would it be?
Don't worry so much about, don't worry at all about other people judging you.
I
You
think
be
that's
you.
one.
Yeah.
I think that's one that I can take for myself.
Yeah.
Do you have a funny or memorable mishap that you've had while golfing?
So it was a corporate outing, and I was with 3 vice presidents, and I hit the ball, and I was very new to it, and it actually went backwards. I don't have any idea how I did it. Very embarrassed.
Did you hurt yourself at all?
No, just my
Yeah.
pride.
And that's the worst sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Well, this was so great. And I think that people are going to walk away of learning so much. Some people may be inspired to start playing golf. Some people might finally start that startup that they've been wanting to start for a long time. And so
Go for it.
I just really appreciate you taking the time to come on A Bright Idea today. Thank you, Jan. That's it for this week's episode of A Bright Idea podcast. Today's guest was Jan Receski, founder and CEO of OnPar Now. You can learn more about OnPar Now by going to their website at onparnow.com. If you like this episode, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Until next week, I'm Amber Key.